Auto-obsessed here. Are you looking to up your polishing game? Maybe you need help in accessing those really small areas and hard to reach trouble spots? Well, we have a new product that was just released that'll help you solve those problems. Check it out here. And here it is. This tool was announced at the last SEMA show. Flex Tools just released. It's available for sale now. The Flex FS 140 Flexible Shaft Accessory Kit. So this kit connects to the Flex PXE 80 cordless polisher. It has everything you need for the PXE 80. You've got the flexible shaft, the tooling, and all the accessory polishing pads. So this accessory kit connects to the Flex Tools PXE 80. This machine was released approximately 2 years ago. It's an absolutely phenomenal mini polisher. It's a cordless polisher, and one of the coolest features I think with this is the quick change head. So it's a toolless system. You just pull back, put in the tool, click, locks up. So right now this is with the DA 1-inch, and this is a great form factor. Again, really tiny, really lightweight, lots of power, and you can get into a lot of tight areas with it. But now with this new accessory, we can just take it to the next level. So working with their quick change system, the flexible cable clicks right in and locks in the same way. So this cable isn't going to come flying loose when you're using it. So one of the first things I noticed when I visited the Flex booth at SEMA when they were introducing this new tool was the flexibility of this cable. So this is unlike any cable I've seen before. Flexible cables obviously are not new at all. They're usually done in that stainless steel kind of braided line that would easily scratch, or maybe it's aluminum cased, but it would scratch the surface and definitely doesn't go as tight as this. Like, this is amazingly flexible. You can even tie a knot with it. Everything is soft, so the casing on this is ultra soft. And one of the biggest things I noticed, kind of going with the theme of for the automotive side of it and the automotive finishing, is when they built it, they absolutely had in mind that they didn't want any rough edges or anything that could potentially damage the paint's finish. So you can see that starts with the attachment. We go to this plastic housing here, then a nice rubberized collar, then you're going into this really soft, I'm not sure what it's made out of. I would say kind of maybe a nylon type of almost like a garden hose or an airline. Very, very flexible rubber coating on it. Then going into the handle, again, another nice rubber collar, and then a plastic handle. Now this is a lot like a pen. Super easy to hang on to. It fits quite nice with your thumb and your index finger. And it fits quite nicely in the groove of my thumb. So it holds quite well, and it doesn't matter what position it's in, because obviously there's 360 degrees here. Whenever you pick it up, it just falls right back into your hand nicely. So they thought of the ergonomics, and they also thought of the safety. Here it's a nice rubber quick release on it. And one of the biggest things, when I was in the Flex booth, they talked about this a little bit. This it's a standard hex bit, but it's all plastic. So one of the things they talked about, maybe potentially you're doing it really quick and you didn't lock it in place and it falls on the car. I mean, the probability of this doing any damage is pretty slim. If you're running a standard steel hex shank and that falls on a car, you probably have a paint chip on your hand and maybe even a dent. This is quite unique. Ultra light, this plastic hex arbor. Inside too, I noticed, instead of it having like a backing plate or anything kind of hard inside, it has kind of a rounded end on it. So if it were potentially, maybe you're polishing and maybe you broke the pad or you push too much, the probability of the inner shank doing damage is very slim as well. So some of the things you can do with this tool, so some of the uses, where you can reach. This particular tool, it's more of a conical shaped tool. This is great for maybe on emblems, on the end here, which is really neat. So just on the tip, you can use just a tip of it. So we've used it to polish in between some of the emblems. This edge here works quite well on anything where maybe we have to quickly polish an edge, or maybe you're going up in between a door handle and the body. That's a very difficult area. Maybe around the hood. It all depends on the shape of the car. Mirrors, around the mirrors, maybe in between the mirror glass and the bottom of the mirror edge. So lots of different uses for that, for this particular shape. They also have a cylinder shape. So this here has a bigger surface area, so again, you could use it flat to polish some areas. But more importantly, you know, you can use this whole side of it. And that's something, again, with the tool, it'd be pretty hard to get into some of these places just with this head on the tool itself. This works out quite well, maybe on window frames, A-pillars, door edges, lots of different uses for it. And again, it's in that same plastic shank and with that inside that's very, very forgiving and hopefully preventing some damage to your car. So included in the kit is everything that you need to connect this tool to your Flex PXE 80 cordless polisher. So you have the flexible shaft. It's 140 centimeters or 5 feet. You also have 3 color polishing pads. You have 4 of the green pads, which is a heavy pad. So in each set, you get 2 of the cylinder shapes and 2 of the conical shapes. The purple is now your medium cut, and the orange is your fine cut. It has an Allen key and the adapter as well, so you can connect it directly to the PXE 80 and use the quick change system. Connecting this to the PXE 80 is quite easy. So in the box, you get the adapter and an Allen key. So this is the adapter that allows you to connect the flexible shaft right up to the quick change system of the PXE 80. So we just screw the two together. And the Allen key is actually just to allow you to tighten it. And you just lock it down. So the Allen key just allows me to get a better grip on it, tighten it up, and that's it. That's the first and last time you're going to need the tool for this thing. So on the PXE 80, just pull back the quick release system, put in the flexible shaft, and there we go, locked in. So really no assembly required, just that one part, and then from here on in, you can just quickly interchange between the various heads that comes with the PXE 80 or using this new accessory shaft. So just some things to know about using the flexible shaft with your PXE 80. So this converts it now into a rotary, so there is no dual action ability with the flexible cable. And because we're using small backing plates or small tools anyways, you don't really need a DA. So you're going to run this, it's on rotary right now, and just use it on low speed. So just be careful, obviously. You don't want to sit in one spot too long and burn the paint. Another thing we noticed is when we're using the tool, you need 2 hands. So unless you're sitting on a stool and you can place it in your lap, or maybe you have a polishing cart, something nearby, you can put the tool in the cart. You can use the switch and you can lock the speed down. So if I did lock it down and it was on a cart, you know, it would vibrate around and potentially fall off the cart unless it had edges. If it's in your lap, it's fine. One thing we kind of played with and thinking, well, you know, if we're using this tool, maybe a cart doesn't always work, or maybe you don't want it in your lap, it might fall out of the lap. And you have to add compound, right? So we have to be adding compound, so we don't really have 2 hands. So we went out and sourced something that we tried and works out quite well. So we sourced out this from our local hardware store, and it's designed to hold a hammer on your belt. So you put this on your belt and you hang the hammer on it. And it works out quite nicely. And one thing I was worried about when thinking about this was, you know, if it was sitting in there, if we bumped it and it maybe fell and the whole tool came out and fell into the car, well, it actually worked out quite good because the tool itself does not fit with the battery on it. So the only way it fits is if we pull the battery off, put it into its holster, and then put the battery back on. So now there's no fear of the tool popping out of the holder and landing on the car now. So this is an option that we kind of thought of in cases where we didn't have the cart nearby, or we didn't want to put it in our lap and we wanted more of a hands, or at least one free hand operation, so we could be polishing and then putting compound on, or just having the flexibility to have another hand here. You can still control it quite nicely. You can still control the tool quite nicely. You can start up the tool, lock it down. You still have the flexibility to increase the speed and use the tool. Another thing that we took a look at, Flex has also announced that they will be doing more accessories. So this is their first iteration. This is all they have at this point. The pads are coming out shortly. At the time of this video, the pads are not sold separately in Canada, but they are coming very, very soon. So they will be selling the pads. I believe they'll be in 5 packs per color, but they've also promised that they're going to be doing more accessories. And that's something that that was one thing I thought of. I'm going, well, hopefully they kind of thought of using a regular backing plate and a pad. Now, I know one of their intentions was you know, having it safe and with the plastic tools and such, which I think is a great idea. But we did notice it's using the standard hex shank. So some of the tools that we sell from another company, we've got the ability to use a hex shank that fits right into the tool, locks in really nicely, and then it has the 5/16 thread on it, and we can do other backing plates. So we can put a 1-inch, 2-inch, and 3-inch backing plate, and then we can go ahead and use, you know, we can use the tool. You know, this is a 2-inch, for example. I wouldn't want any bigger than a 2-inch on this. A 1-inch and a 2-inch to me are plenty enough. So this is something to potentially keep in mind. Obviously, this isn't something that's recommended from Flex. It was just something that we noticed that, you know, it is using a standard hex shank, so you could go ahead and use some other tools as well, at least until Flex Tools releases their new products. And so far we know with the PXE 80 and this new flexible shaft kit that they've definitely thought of a lot of things, and this is a great, great, great tool. And lastly, I'll leave you with a fun fact. So 2022 was Flex Tools' 100th anniversary. So in 1922, believe it or not, the first item the Flex Tools manufactured was a flexible shaft. Here, 100 years later, they made an absolutely incredible flexible shaft just for us in the detailing industry, the FS 140 flexible shaft. It can be found in our store or online at autoobsessed.com. Please help us bring more detailing content to you by giving us a like, leaving a comment below, and subscribing to our channel. We've also left the links to the products below to make it easier for you to find and to get additional information. Thank you for watching.